I'm Angela.
And I'm Paige.
Join us as we dive into our obsession with true crime, history, and mysterious stories. We'll explore the intricate details of the corrupt, the cruel, and the calculating.
We assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content of this episode. The Corrupt Podcast is based on the facts and our opinions of the case. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Corrupt Podcast. On June 5th, 1986, Stella Nickell called authorities to report her 52-year-old husband, Bruce Nickell, was having a seizure. Bruce died later that evening at the Seattle Harborview Medical Center. 6 days later, Sue Snow took 2 Excedrin capsules and died shortly afterward. The incidents threw the country into a panic, with concerns of Seattle dealing with a copycat of the 1982 Chicago Tylenol Murders.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of the case of Stella Nickell. We left off with Sue Snow's husband, Paul, being cleared after he passed the polygraph.
The 6 bottles of tampered medication were sent to the FBI toxicology unit in Washington, D.C. Bottle number 1 was the Excedrin taken from Sue Snow's kitchen. Of the original 60 pills, only 56 remained. 9 of those pills contained cyanide. Narrowing it down even more, 4 of the 9 laced pills had tiny green crystals mixed with the cyanide.
Bottle number 2 was taken off the shelf at Johnny's in Kent, Washington during the recall. The bottle showed signs of tampering, as the safety seal had been cut. The 60-count bottle only had 56 remaining, and 4 pills contained cyanide with the green crystals. Bottle number 3 was from Stella's home. The bottle was almost empty. Originally a 40-count, there were only 7 remaining. 2 were laced with cyanide, and 1 pill contained the mysterious green crystals.
Bottle number 4 was also from Stella's home. The 40-count bottle had 35 remaining. 4 pills were laced with cyanide, and all 4 had the green crystals. Bottle number 5 was the Anacin 3 found at Pay and Save. The bottle was in a box, but the box had been re-glued and the safety seals partially removed. The 50-count bottle only had 45 pills. 4 of those contained cyanide, and again, all 4 had the green crystals.
Bottle number 6 was the last bottle of Excedrin found at Stella's home, matching the lot number and expiration date of the contaminated pills. This bottle contained no laced capsules. Of the 6 bottles, 23 laced capsules were found, with 17 containing the green crystals. Each capsule contained 700 milligrams of cyanide, which is 4 times the lethal amount. Those green crystals were made up of monoron, simazine, and atrazine. They were common chemicals used to kill algae in aquariums, and only one product contained the chemicals in the correct amounts. That product was Algae Destroyer, and it was sold in green tablets, with the ingredients matching exactly the green pieces found in those cyanide tablets.
The FBI sent the Algae Destroyer findings to the Seattle Police Department. One of the King County officers recalled a fish tank in Stella's living room. By 1986, there had now been 2 cases of tampered medication in just a handful of years. The 1982 Chicago Tylenol Murders and the murders of Bruce and Sue in Seattle. With this in mind, the Non-Prescription Drug Manufacturers Association offered a $300,000 reward for information and arrest in connection to Bruce and Sue's deaths.
On July 18, 1986, Lynn Force, an Equifax insurance investigator, was assigned to review Bruce's life insurance policy with Northwestern National Life. The policy was only 6 months old, requiring additional review before a payment could be issued. This is the policy that had a $36,000 payout, with an additional $100,000 if Bruce's death could be determined as accidental. Within 4 months, Lynn and the FBI agents began to piece together just how many life insurance policies Bruce had and the potential payout Stella would get. There were 2 identical policies with All-American Life totaling $40,000. Then there was the Northwestern National Life policy for $36,000, with the additional $100K for an accidental death.
Bruce had applied for a $25,000 supplemental life insurance through his employer, but never completed the physical, so the policy was not issued. This is something Stella would not find out until after Bruce's death. However, there was also a payment error on a third life insurance policy through All American Life, voiding that policy. Even without these two policies in effect, if Stella could convince the medical examiner to mark Bruce's death as accidental, she would be eligible for over $175,000.
The FBI used a forensic lab document examiner to review the 1986 All-American life insurance applications. The examiner couldn't confirm who signed Bruce's portion of the application, but they knew it wasn't Bruce himself. The Nickell portion matched exactly how Stella signed her last name. It would appear that Stella had forged Bruce's signature on the life insurance application.
Investigators were closing in on Stella in the fall of 1986. That August, FBI Special Agent Jack Cusack went from pet store to pet store looking for algae destroyer. The product was sold as an algae killer for home aquariums. After more than 50 pet stores, Jack found himself at Fish Gallery and Pets in Kent, Washington, where the employee, Tom Noonan, not only stocked algae destroyer, but also remembered Stella.
According to Tom, Stella had visited the store many times in 1986. He remembered her distinctly because she kept a bell on her purse that made noise when she came into the store, and also because he thought she was hitting on him and was really uncomfortable about it. Stella had also requested the algae destroyer, which was in tablet form instead of the liquid algae killer that Tom usually stocked. The algae destroyer tablets sometimes absorbed moisture, so Tom recommended that Stella crush up the tablet and add hot water before adding the solution to her fish tank.
My question is, why did she want the tablets rather than the liquid form? Was there a reason behind it?
That I don't know. Stella really loved her aquarium. That we do know. And she was adamant that she really wanted it in tablet form. And Tom remembers this conversation because he tried to kind of persuade her away from it. These tablets, I guess, would get moisture in there and it would turn into like a block. Like it wasn't like a tablet that you could just toss in. Like you had to basically chisel it apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, look at this wall of liquid ones that we have that, is so much less work. And she really wanted the tablet. I don't know why. Maybe she thought it was going to be doing something better for the fish or the aquarium itself.
She killed her own daughter's fish, flushing it down the toilet. She don't give a shit about these fish.
That's a very valid point. She had a later in life change of heart. Okay, now she loves fish tanks.
Yeah, the bell on her purse too. Like who does that? Who puts a bell on their purse? Like if you do, it's fine. But her, why?
It almost seemed like it gave Tom anxiety. Like every time he heard the bell, he was like, oh no, it's Stella.
Yeah, like how cows, walk around in their field with the, the cowbell around their neck. I don't know if they do that anymore. I'm not a farmer, but
I don't know that that's still a thing, but that's where your mind went.
Sure did. On October 21st, 1986, Bruce's cause of death was revised, this time to ingestion of cyanide and extra-strength Excedrin. At the same time, Cindy confessed to a friend, Dee, that she suspected Stella had murdered Bruce. Stella had been talking about murdering Bruce for years, but was unsure how to actually go about it. At one point, Stella asked Cindy how much cocaine it would take for someone to overdose. And on another occasion, Stella confessed to Cindy that she had thought of drugging Bruce's iced tea.
Cindy suspected that Bruce had been killed by cyanide. Stella had borrowed some library books on poisons and had asked Cindy to get rid of a small bag of white powder. When Cindy wouldn't call the FBI, Dee called to report Cindy's suspicions. Stella spent over an hour going over her story again, with Special Agents Cusack and Nichols at the FBI office on November 18, 1986. The agents pressured Stella about completing a polygraph test, but she declined, saying that she needed her doctor and attorney's approval first. At the FBI office, Stella showed up with the bell on her purse. the same bell that Tom Noonan had reported her having during her Fish Gallery store visits. When asked about Bruce's life insurance again, Stella said there was a single policy for $25,000 or $35,000.
By saying there was only a single policy for $25,000 to $35,000, Stella had incriminated herself with the FBI. The Equifax investigator, Lynn, had discovered 2 letters from Stella to All American Life from just a month earlier, following up on the 2 policies totaling $40,000. It was clear that Stella was lying to the FBI about the single life insurance policy. Stella and Bruce were in serious financial trouble in the spring of 1986. Their mortgage was almost 6 months behind with North Pacific Bank. A final notice of delinquency was sent to the Nickells with an April 24, 1986 due date for $1,892.01, as a mortgage payment hadn't been received since September.
Stella wrote the first of 2 letters to North Pacific Bank on April 24th. In her letter, she said,
"Dear Sirs, I know that I am tremendously overdue with my payments. There is good reason for it. I am having marital problems. They are about to be solved, and I would like to ask you if you would have faith in me, personally. Bruce is no longer involved, and I would like a chance for me myself to prove my worth to you."
Gives an eerie vibe, doesn't it?
Yep.
Knowing that Bruce would be dead by June 5th.
Yeah, her comment on her marital problems about to be solved is very skeptical.
Yep. Shows some serious premeditation here. Then, just days before Bruce's death, Stella mailed another letter to the North Pacific Bank.
"My payments will now stay current. Very sincerely, Stella Nickell."
This letter was included with a double payment to the bank. So where Stella came up with the money for the double payment, we're unsure. We do know that they were so underwater that she was actually paying those life insurance premiums on her credit card. So the house is 6 months past due, and she's paying life insurance, several policies, on credit.
I didn't think you could pay a bill with a credit card.
I guess I'm not sure. I feel like your insurance you could pay with your credit card, like a reoccurring debit or credit card, just like your phone bill.
A debit card, but like a credit card. Like some companies just don't allow that. I would think in 1986 they would be more like, you can't do that, but I could be wrong.
I think you can do insurance premiums with a credit card. I'm not sure about your mortgage. Like if you could pay that with a credit card, I'm not sure. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want their money either way. What's it matter to them, I guess?
I guess not, yeah.
But you are right that some companies don't let you pay. Like I can't pay my internet bill with a credit card. Of all things, the internet says no.
Actually, I think they charge you with a fee for credit cards. Like you can still pay it with a credit card, but they charge you a fee for it. I don't know.
Well, maybe she was incurring a fee because she's probably thinking she's going to get all that money back once Bruce is dead.
I mean, 6 months behind, girl. Dang.
Yep.
You had to kill somebody over it? Like, I mean, that wasn't the only reason, but...
I mean, it was kind of the only reason. She wanted the money.
And she was tired from him from the get-go. From their honeymoon, according to Cindy.
Yeah, Stella had a plan. It just took her a couple years to put it in motion.
Yeah. The FBI continued checking in with Stella about the polygraph, and soon it paid off. Stella called Special Agent Cusack, finally agreeing to take the polygraph test. So on Monday, December 15th, 1986, Stella arrived at the FBI office in Olympia for the polygraph. She was asked a total of 10 questions. Stella declined putting potassium cyanide in the capsules or being at fault for Sue Snow's death. Immediately after the test, the FBI begged Stella to confess, but she only said that she wanted to see her attorney.
That evening, Stella would tell friends that she had passed 3 separate polygraph tests, but that Agent Cusack had lost one of the results right away and told her that she failed the other 2 tests. The FBI have always been firm on the fact that Stella failed a single polygraph and no information was lost. When 27-year-old Cindy heard that Stella had failed the polygraph, she decided it was time to finally come forward. So Dee and Cindy sat down with the FBI to explain Cindy's suspicion that Stella had killed Bruce because she was bored of him and didn't want to split her assets during a divorce.
Stella had been having an affair with Jim McCarthy, a friend of Bruce's, who also had a photography dark room set up at his house. Does this family not have any loyalty to their significant others? The whole family.
I'm pretty sure that's Stella.
Isn't it Cindy too?
Cindy's really bad into drugs.
Oh, okay.
Stella just likes the men.
Coralie did too, didn't she?
Yeah, she had some one after the other abusive guys in Coralie's relationships. From what I can tell about Stella, she takes no shit from anybody. She learned from Coralie what she didn't want for herself. She just likes to get around, you know?
That dark room at Jim's house occasionally used products that contained cyanide, which is where Cindy suspected Stella got the poison. Stella had also spoken to Cindy about potential ways Bruce could accidentally die, like his brakes could fail, or lacing his iced tea with heroin, or cocaine that could cause an OD. Stella's plotting went on for more than 4 years, with her casually bringing up how nice life would be without Bruce. With that in mind, Stella and Cindy could open a fish store with his life insurance policy. The damn fish keeps coming back. Do they really care for the fish? I mean, Cindy, maybe.
Cindy probably does.
Give me a break, Stella. Oh my goodness. Open a fish store.
In her interview, Cindy also shared that Stella had borrowed books from the library on the topic of poisons. The FBI headed to the Auburn Library in March 1987 with a subpoena in hand to track down Stella's interesting checkout history. Stella had borrowed a book titled Deadly Harvest and another, Human Poisoning from Native and Cultivated Plants. Deadly Harvest contained more than 80 finger and palm prints belonging to Stella. Pages 88 and 89 contained the information on cyanide. Unsurprisingly, it showed the highest number of Stella's prints. She hadn't been focused only on cyanide, though. The second highest number of prints were on pages 66 and 67, poison hemlock and toxic seeds. Stella had been thorough with her research. Prints would also be found in the cyanide section of 2 encyclopedias as well. This is possibly my favorite part of the case. She is busted by her own library checkouts history.
You like everything library.
I do.
You live, breathe, eat library. What's that? Eat, pray, love library. That should be a book about you.
The fact that they had a subpoena and took it right to the library, I was like, yes, let's get this. We're done here.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. I know it's the FBI here, but it's also in the 80s. And I feel like that's very impressive for them to go to the library and get those fingerprints on each one of those pages. It's pretty awesome.
Physical books, too. You know, today you'd have like an ebook. Be a lot harder to maybe trace. I don't know, they could tell maybe like a timestamp how long you spent on each page.
I don't know.
It wouldn't be as concrete evidence as her finger and palm prints all over the physical book, though.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it would for you because you go to the library often.
Yes.
And you get physical books.
I do. If the FBI pulled my checkout history, they would probably be questioning me for something as well.
I feel like you're already on a list. I feel like with all the research you do, all the websites you go on, all the books you get, you're on a list.
Probably.
Now the FBI had Cindy's statement, a failed polygraph, a motive of life insurance money, and forged insurance documents pointing Stella as the murderer. If Stella's financial situation had been tight before, it was worse after Bruce's death. She did receive Bruce's pension, but by February 1987, she was out of money and bouncing checks. That month, Stella accepted a job as a private security officer. She was now the only income, the same amount of debt, and waiting for charges to be filed against her for murder. I'm just thinking, what in the world could this woman be spending money on? And for it to go so quickly? Like, is she hiring gigolos or what's going on here?
I think she was back to the bar. Like, she was wanting to get back to living her bar life. And Bruce was kind of holding her back a little bit there because now he was sober.
But she was the one telling Bruce to drink lighter.
She was, but I think maybe because they were so in debt by it that he was spending so much money. Like, she didn't want to give up bar life entirely. She wanted to still go and have a good time, but maybe not quite to the level that Bruce was going to.
Or it was okay for her to spend money and drink, but not Bruce to spend money and drink.
I would agree with that as well. Stella's neighbor Sandy was shaken when Stella failed the polygraph. When Sandy was interviewed by the FBI, she agreed to help them with the investigation. On more than one occasion, Sandy hid in the weeds and watched Stella coming and going, reporting anything strange to the FBI. She also searched Stella's trailer for the algae destroyer, but didn't have luck. One by one, the acquaintances of Stella and Bruce were summoned to a grand jury in the spring of 1987. On February 19th, Tom Noonan took the stand about the special algae killer that he had ordered for Stella.
On March 18th, Cindy took the stand to testify against her mother. Cindy shared her childhood, Stella's charges for child abuse, and the 4 years she suspected Stella was trying to murder Bruce. Cindy saw small black seeds provided to Bruce by Stella in a capsule, but it didn't kill him like Stella had hoped. On the stand, Cindy stated that Stella planned to pay off the trailer, the property loan, and have enough of Bruce's life insurance money left to live comfortably. Stella had promised to split the life insurance money evenly with Cindy.
Remember those days that Bruce had complained about stomach pain prior to his death? The FBI speculated that Stella may have been poisoning Bruce with seeds that would have had him leaving work due to stomach pain. On January 21st, 1985, Bruce left work signing that he was sick to his stomach. Then on February 11th, Bruce cited the stomach flu. And from March 18th to the 20th, he took off work citing sick to my stomach.
The fact that Bruce lived through that is remarkable.
It really is. Again, just showing her premeditation here. That's 3 different dates over 3 different months that she tried to kill him.
Yeah, poor Bruce. He didn't make it.
No, poor Bruce and his family.
Yeah. The case was based on Stella's actions leading to Bruce and Sue's murders. Stella had written to the North Pacific Bank on April 24th telling them her husband was no longer involved. A foreclosure notice was sent to Stella and Bruce on May 27, 1986. The very same day, Stella shopped at Johnny's and Pay and Save North. Then on June 1st, Stella mailed the second letter to the bank, saying her payments would stay current, and 2 days later, she shopped at Albertsons and Johnny's, where the laced Excedrin was found. Bruce would be murdered on June 5th, and Sue Snow would be murdered on June 11th. The FBI was certain Stella had murdered Bruce for his life insurance money and set up Sue's death to link Bruce's death as accidental.
In May 1987, Stella applied for a court-appointed federal attorney. She was assigned federal defense investigator Sal Ramos and federal public defender Tom Hillier. On December 9, 1987, Stella Nickell was arrested on 5 counts. 2 counts of causing death by means of tampering with a consumer product, and 3 counts of tampering with a product involved in interstate commerce. These were 5 counts for 5 bottles of lace medication.
At the afternoon court appearance, 44-year-old Stella made no comment. Stella's trial, which would begin in April 1988, would be the first trial in a product tampering death in the United States. The jury was selected of 7 women and 5 men, plus 2 alternates. Their backgrounds were different. One worked for a law office and another was unemployed.
Cindy again took the stand to discuss the multiple years Stella had planned Bruce's death. Stella had started to make formal plans 6 months before the murder, even basing the plan on 1982's Chicago Tylenol poisonings. Tom Hillier cross-examined Cindy about the inconsistencies in her statement. Tom was hoping to prove to the jury that Cindy was lying to get the $300,000 reward money, and she had played a role by not stopping Bruce's death from the beginning. He also tried to prove that Stella had been reading on poisonous plants to make sure the children she babysat wouldn't be in danger around her property.
The That's a bunch of hogwash.
Isn't it, though?
Absolutely.
Other than the fact that, yes, Cindy really should have been held accountable as an accessory to murder. She could have stopped this.
Yes, she could have. However, how old was she? Was she a minor at this point?
No, she's in her 20s. She's like 27 years old with a kid of her own.
I know how she is now, but like, did she live with her and Bruce when they were together? You know what I mean? Like, was she a child? Was she like in her teens and she saw some of these things, or was it just in her adulthood?
My understanding is after the girls were living in the garage storage unit.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Cindy really bounced between foster care and Coralie's house. She doesn't really move back in with Stella.
That's right.
They still have a relationship. Stella and Bruce loaned Cindy some money to help her. Because remember, Cindy was a young mom trying to make it work on her own as well. So they did try and help her, but it's not the most stable relationship. Like Cindy wasn't living at their home with them for long periods of time as a kid, bonding with them. She does call Bruce dad. Because by this point, Bruce has been around since she was maybe in her, early teens, 13, 15 years old.
Yeah, did Stella confess of wanting to kill Bruce when she was under the age though?
When Cindy was underage?
Yeah. Would that be a conflict? And that's why she wasn't an accomplice? Because at that time, she was kind of under 18.
I think the FBI was really just happy that they had a witness. She didn't even get a plea deal or anything.
Nope.
Nobody even looks to her as an accessory of murder, which I think is really strange because she supposedly was there. She saw it go on for years.
Mm-hmm. She went through so much torment, though, through her childhood.
She did.
That is no excuse. She should have spoke up earlier.
Yeah, so many other criminals went through traumatic childhood situations as well, and they didn't get a free ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it was discussed, but in all of my research, I never could see anybody pointing fingers at Cindy other than Stella herself down the road.
Tom pointed out that the cyanide and algae destroyer had never been found. The FBI had only circumstantial evidence against Stella, as they were unable to prove that she had ground up the algae destroyer in a bowl, then later ground up the cyanide in the same bowl, resulting in the green crystals in the laced capsules.
Sue's husband, Paul, also took the stand providing support to the prosecution's case. He testified that Sue took 2 Excedrin every morning for the caffeine, and their bottle was running low in early June. Sue had written checks for Albertsons and Safeway on June 8th, purchasing one of the tainted Excedrin bottles that would lead to her death.
The defense brought Stella on the stand. During her 2 days of testimony, she described her life and her marriage to Bruce. Stella admitted to telling Cindy she had been bored in the marriage since Bruce had sobered up. In regard to the letter to the bank where Stella said her marital problems are about to be solved, Stella said that she meant only that Bruce would be taking over paying the bills. Yet she also stated in a letter she'll be handling things now on her own. Things aren't lining up for you, Stella.
Things also didn't line up with the life insurance. On the stand, she testified that the 2 All-American policies were an accidental duplication. Both policies were the exact same, and she thought there was only one policy. On cross-examination, the prosecution would point out that Stella had applied for the first policy in September 1985, and then 1 month later applied for the second policy. She also told her niece Wilma of the $40,000 total life insurance with All-American Life.
On the topic of algae killer for her aquarium, Stella confirmed she shopped at the fish gallery frequently, but didn't ask for algae-killing chemicals. She never purchased or ground up the algae destroyer in her home. Stella agreed that she had researched cyanide, but it was after Bruce's death. She also never discussed various drugs to cause an overdose or hiring a hitman to get rid of Bruce. On the stand, Stella played the devastating wife who loved her husband and was being framed by her daughter, saying,
The thought had never entered my mind because I loved Bruce too much. There is no way that I could even possibly thinking of getting rid of him.
Her grammar wasn't very good.
Mm-mm.
The problem with Stella's story is that the Deadly Harvest book had a due date of June 16, 1983 to the Auburn Library. Then almost a year later, Stella checked out the book again, this time with a May 22, 1984 due date. This meant that Stella had been researching cyanide more than 3 years before Bruce's death.
During the cross-examination, the prosecution did not go easy on Stella. They pulled out the letter Stella had written to the North Pacific Bank on June 1st, where Stella had stated in her final line, "Thank you for your patience in this matter. My payments will stay current." The prosecution pointed out that this letter, written just days before Bruce's death, didn't actually fit what was happening in Stella's life in June 1986. The reality is that they were facing foreclosure on their home and had $8,500 in debt with past due payments.
Back to Stella's interesting library haul, the research on both foxglove and cyanide was discussed. Cindy had seen Stella give Bruce little black seeds in a capsule. One of the pages that contained a significant amount of fingerprints in the Deadly Harvest book was the page on foxglove and the poisonous small black seeds. After almost a week of deliberations, the jury had a verdict. At 3:35 p.m. on May 9, 1988, Stella was found guilty of all 5 counts of product tampering. Unfortunately, the verdict would be read, but there would be a delay in sentencing.
One of the jurors, Laurel, had lied about being involved in a prior product tampering case. Laurel had sued Pepperidge Farm on August 19, 1987, after she bit into a goldfish and found the cracker laced with a pill. In her statement, Laurel said,
"I pretty much figured I was dead. This was right after the cyanide poisonings in Auburn."
The 911 dispatcher at the time told Laurel if she had ingested cyanide, she wouldn't be making that phone call. Whatever was in the goldfish was unconfirmed, but Laurel did win a $500 settlement. So Laurel was a juror on a product tampering case, won a settlement for her own product tampering incident, and stated that she knew about the cyanide poisonings back in '87. Just yikes.
And just to piggyback off of that, why are we talking about fish again? You know, it's just like, it's fish after fish after fish.
This one's the Pepperidge Farm cracker one, but yes, it's all about the fish.
I know, but you said goldfish and my mind went straight to goldfish. It didn't go to a goldfish cracker until you said cracker. Something about the fish in this episode.
There's just a lot of fish talk and prejudiced jurors.
Something's fishy.
About Stella.
Exactly. It fell to the judge to determine if Laurel had been prejudiced, and Stella would need to be retried for a fair trial. After delaying for additional time to review, the judge did proceed with sentencing Stella on June 17, 1988. Not for the murders of Bruce Nickell and Susan Snow, but for federal product tampering. Stella would be sentenced to 90 years with a possibility of parole after 30 years. Stella was the first person to be convicted of federal product tampering in the United States.
Stella's niece Wilma handled boxing and moving some of Stella's belongings from the trailer after her conviction. When going through the boxes of Stella's belonging, a medicine bottle containing small seeds labeled foxglove was found. Wilma was unsure if the handwriting was Stella, Cindy's, or Coralie's, but she threw it away so as not to further incriminate her aunt.
Nice, Wilma.
Agreed. Coralie had used her entire savings to help Stella and Bruce buy the property, along with a trailer for herself and one for Stella and Bruce. With Stella in prison and unable to pay the bank, the property was foreclosed on, and Coralie lost her home. She was forced to move in with one of her daughters until her death in July 1989.
Cindy had been in hiding since speaking to the FBI. After the trial, she continued hiding from her family and the media. In the fall of 1990, the Non-Prescription Drug Manufacturers Association was finally able to track down Cindy and issue reward payments from the $300,000 1986 reward offer. Cindy received $250,000, the fish store manager Tom Noonan $15,000, Cindy's friend Dee Rogers $7,500. Stella's neighbor and spy for the FBI, Sandy Scott, $7,500. And the additional drug industry reward was split between 3 others. Immediately after receiving her payout, Cindy disappeared again.
There has been speculation and theories about Cindy's motivation. Why had she come forward, and was she an accomplice in Bruce's death? At the trial, Cindy said she was intimidated by her mother and scared to tell Bruce for fear of angering Stella. Then Bruce's death was listed as natural causes, and she felt a sense of relief because Stella hadn't been involved. After Bruce's death was determined to be a homicide and Stella failed the polygraph, Cindy said that it was time for her to come forward and talk to law enforcement.
Another potential motivator was the reward money and resentment against her mother for the rough childhood abandonment. If Cindy had been involved as an accomplice with Stella in the murder, she could have been in it for the money and then flipped on her mother. Cindy testified that Stella had planned to split the $176,000 life insurance with her. If they are splitting it 50-50, Cindy would have received $88,000. After Bruce's death, Cindy may have seen an opportunity to get an even bigger payout by flipping on Stella. If this was her motivation, Cindy ended up with 3 times the money with $250,000. In support of this theory, at the trial, Stella's attorney was hoping to prove to the jury that Cindy was lying to get the $300,000 reward money, and she played a role by not stopping Bruce's death from the beginning.
Sue Snow's husband, Paul, remarried within 6 months of Sue's death. He continued to be unpopular with Sue's family. Paul lost Sue's jewelry that should have been passed down to her 2 daughters. He also told Haley and Exa when he received Sue's life insurance money, he was going to pay off the bills and set aside the rest for the girls. But that also never happened.
Do you know if Haley and Exa went to live with their father, like their biological father?
Exa was already older and in college when Sue died. 15-year-old Haley lives with Paul, I think until she turns 18, but he was not easy to live with. By the time of the 2001 48 Hours episode, Haley was obviously an adult, and she was a sheep farmer somewhere outside of the state. I don't know where she moved to. I can't remember. I also don't know if either of the girls still have contact with Paul. He is pretty unpopular. He's just kind of a rough guy to get along with. He says things exactly how he thinks it. Getting married 6 months after Sue's death, being unfaithful to her. It just wasn't a great situation.
He doesn't sound too nice. No, he doesn't sound like a nice guy, to hang out with at all.
He lost Sue's jewelry. Come on. He pawned her jewelry.
Yeah.
That's shitty.
100% shitty, Paul. And promised the girls money after he was going to pay the bills, and that never happened. Empty promises, Paul. Geesh, get it together. So in 2001, Stella sat down with 48 Hours to plead her innocence. She continues to say that she did not fail the polygraph. Stella's 1988 attorney and her new attorney in 2001 both requested the polygraph multiple times, but it has not been provided by law enforcement.
Side note here, the summary was provided, but the actual results have not been.
So when you say summary, you mean a written format of the polygraph test?
Law enforcement released a summary saying basically, she failed with a paragraph format. The actual results saying this question, pass or fail. This question, pass or fail. With those 10 questions she was asked, has never been released from law enforcement.
So her answers weren't on there, just their questions?
That's my understanding.
Okay. No, yeah, I just want it to be understood by the people, the audience. They
unpacking.
Unpacking for you guys, Stella said she had only looked up the cyanide specifically after Bruce's death, as she was trying to connect cyanide poisoning with emphysema. With what we already discussed, the library has records of when she checked out those books. Those were clearly before Bruce's death.
Yep.
Plus, Wilma found the black seeds in Stella's own home, but threw them away. By the way, great going, Wilma. There also has to be a transaction of her purchasing algae destroyer. Then again, this is the 80s. It might have not been trackable.
Cash and no receipt, maybe?
Yeah.
Investigators Al Farr and Paul Ciolino agree that Cindy sold Stella out for that $250,000 reward money. In the episode, 48 Hours was able to track down Cindy and her daughter Rachel. Cindy refused to speak with the show. Rachel was 9 years old when Cindy testified against Stella. She also had a tough childhood, being left with one person after the other, sometimes for years.
By 2001, Rachel was an adult and she didn't have nice things to say about her mother. Rachel said that she could see her mother testifying against Stella for the money. The 48 Hours episode is season 14, episode 30, titled Bitter Pill. There is also a Forensic Files from season 2, episode 11, titled Something Fishy. We would recommend giving both of those a watch.
The 48 Hours episode is interesting because Stella and her attorneys are trying to sell the fact that she was innocent and framed. Forensic Files takes the opposite approach, and they really break down the nitty-gritty on why she's guilty. So both of those are really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the 48 Hours episode, just because Stella, you got to see Stella, like, interviewed and see how she acts and see how she thinks, and it kind of makes it more believable of like what she did. Because if you guys watch this, she's not a very nice person, or maybe she perceives herself that way. I can just see through it.
She definitely tried, but it's just like two words come to mind, like cold-hearted. Like the whole episode, every time she's talking, I'm just like, man, cold-hearted.
Yeah, exactly. The Forensic Files one kind of made me laugh at the beginning. And I know it's not a laughing matter because Sue actually passed away, but the very beginning where like her daughter hops in the shower behind her, like her mom's there doing her makeup and whatever, and then her daughter apparently hops in the shower behind her. I didn't know they were in the same bathroom. Thought it was like two separate bathrooms.
Yeah, in real life, it's two separate bathrooms.
Okay. But her daughter just like completely removes her towel, and you see like the whole backside of her, like almost completely naked. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like Forensic Files went rated R with this episode, apparently.
I completely missed it. I don't know. I remember that part.
I was just like totally astonished. It was the very like first couple minutes that you watch it. But it was entertaining. So they were just like a couple actors just, removing their clothes.
The reenactment was a little over the top because I think Sue falls backwards, like she's powdering her face or something. And then she falls backwards over like an ottoman, and you just see her feet go up in the air.
Yeah. And then Stella's home. She has like her nice fish tank in the corner. I was like, yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why they put that there.
Yeah, it was pretty prominent. I'll agree. The reenactment was pretty cheesy.
It was, but it was entertaining. So check it out, guys.
And they really got into the details of why she was guilty. Like, I enjoyed that. I felt almost like 48 Hours. If you didn't know the details, you could walk away from 48 Hours thinking that Stella was wrongfully convicted.
I totally did that because that was the first one I watched until like she started talking more. And I was like, like what you said, no soul. She just like, it's just like blank space in there. And then the Forensic Files, when I watched that one, it kind of, confirmed it that she just is like, there's just too much evidence against her.
Yeah. As research for these episodes, I read American Mother by Gregg Olsen. Originally published in 1993 as Bitter Almonds, the book was retitled in 2002 to American Mother. The back cover of the 1993 book says, "But Stella's cunning plan came undone when her daughter Cynthia notified federal agents, and troubling questions lingered like the scent of bitter almonds." I just thought that was a very epic back cover statement to get you to read the book. And troubling questions lingered like the scent of bitter almonds. I really wish they had left that original title.
Yeah, I like bitter almonds much better.
It's just a way more unique name. And it's really clever because wild bitter almond kernels contain cyanide, which most people probably don't know. So it was lost on people.
Nope, didn't know that. Yeah, it's a unique fact to know that cyanide smells like bitter almonds.
Mm-hmm.
Stella was up for parole in 2018 with 30 years served. Using a virtual meeting from her prison in California, Stella told the parole board that she was innocent, an excellent inmate, and a good person. Parole was denied.
The following year, Stella tried again for parole, this time partially confessing to the murders. Haley Snow watched the virtual meeting until the video failed and the meeting was stopped without a conclusion. Stella would again be denied for parole.
In 2022, Stella took a different route, this time requesting compassionate release from prison. Stella cited her poor health and almost clear prison record for the last 34 years. The compassionate release and another parole hearing in 2021 were both denied.
Stella is 82 years old and serving her time at the Federal Correction Institute in Waseca, Minnesota. She is one of 845 female offenders at the low-security prison. With credit for good behavior, Stella would be eligible for release on March 7, 2043. She will be 100 years old. We would love for you to become part of the Corrupt crew. You can find us on Patreon with multiple tiers and PayPal. This will score you our appreciation and will announce your name in a future episode. Both links are in the episode notes. Case suggestions and feedback can be emailed to us at corruptpod@gmail.com.
The sources for this episode would be listed in the episode notes. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Don't forget to subscribe to catch our new Corrupt content. Please also leave us a review wherever you're listening to this episode. Bye!
Bye!